In this tutorial, I'm going to show you one of the features that we've started using quite heavily in our designs, especially for pages where we have a lot of content, and that is the accordion section. So in this blank section that I've already added, I'm going to go to the top left-hand corner and click on Add Block, and we should be able to see the accordion option in this list. It gives us some default content when we add it in with some placeholder text, but let's just put a little bit longer text in here to show you how it works. So I'm just going to put some Latin placeholder text in for each. I'm going to double up just to show you how it works with lots of content. And we'll do the same for the third one. This time we're going to go with roughly 2/3 to 3/4 of the amount of content. Okay, we've now got those three blocks with different length content in there. Let's save that before looking at any of the design features for this and preview to see how that looks. If I scroll down, we can see that the first section, when I click to expand it, is showing a nice little bit of content. Second one showing more content, and we can see this section is expanding to fit the content. Because there's no footer on this page, it's not the easiest to see. So what I'll do now is I'm going to move that section by hovering over it and then click move up here. I'm going to move it in between these two other previous tutorial sections that I've created, just so we can see how it expands the page. So we're going to exit out of edit mode, click on this arrow to go back into preview, scroll back down, and now we can see those three options once more. Short paragraph, longer paragraph, medium paragraph, give or take. Okay, so that's the basics. This allows us to show a lot of information in a compacted section, and the benefit of this is that this will appear on Google search engine results pages. It's not about how much content you can throw into a page with Google as it used to be. The Google bots are much more elaborate and more sophisticated in terms of how they monitor how you update your content regularly. But it does mean that you can answer direct questions. So when you go to a Google search engine results page or SERP, if your website ranks well, there's a good chance that your FAQ could become a pinned question on that Google search results page. If I click on duplicate for this accordion, we can now see that we have two columns. Of course, they're the same titles, but they work independently of each other. And that's quite a nice feature to have 2 or even 3 columns with FAQs, so we don't have it scrolling down all the way down the page. It really depends on how long your titles are. If they're long, detailed questions, then 1 column with the section spanning it probably works out best. But say we want to edit the content now, we can double click on it, and I've given you a quick preview of this already, but we can either add an item here, or we can edit one of the existing ones. If we click on these dots to the left, we can reorder the questions in that list. So if you put them in the wrong order by accident, don't panic, we can easily reshuffle them. And I can click on Add Item, and it will create just placeholder content for a new item. We just add our title, add our description. Bear in mind this accordion is text only. If you wanted something that was more sophisticated, maybe adding images, then you'd need to look at third-party plugins for accordions. If we click and drag that into position, once again, we can reorder it. And that's pretty much the content taken care of. But then we can go on to the design option. And what I like about Squarespace is it chooses the default options for you. So instead of having to manually set the size of, for example, each of the questions for your FAQs or the titles in your accordion, you can just choose heading styles for all of them at the same time. Likewise, the description, you could go smaller with paragraph 3. In this top right-hand corner, you've got the site styles, and that's where you can edit the overarching styles. So for titles, we can use heading styles. For paragraphs, we can use paragraph styles. Nice and straightforward, but also quick to get it up and running as well. We can auto-expand the first item. And it probably helps if I just delete that last example I put in and go with something more what we're used to. But we can see here that the title and the paragraph have the same size font. So by jumping that back to paragraph 2, we can see that we've got some nice cascading style effect going in here where we've got a larger title and then a smaller paragraph content. We can change the alignment of our text. We can add padding around it, or top and bottom in this case. We can also change the width of our text area. So if I move this out of the way, we can see it's not going across all of the way. That's really up to you. terms of how you want to format it. But with this one, we've got two quite compact sections here. Instead of going for one of the preset options, I want to make sure that there's plenty of padding to the right. So if I go 95%, it means it comes across to about here. We've got some nice breathing space to the right of it, but it is maximizing that width as much as possible. Also, we can place it to the middle as well. So as we increase that or reduce that width, we can see the text fixes itself to the middle. We've also got some additional options here. For example, we can change the icon to a chevron to show in expand and collapse that way. We can change the icon size, the thickness, and also the placement of the icon, whether we want it on the left or the right. We can also make the padding between rows more compact and add a stroke around the outside of the accordion. So again, we can box it in if that's the effect that you want to go for. We can add a blurred background and blending mode options like we can with many other features like the form options in Squarespace. So once we've got a format that we're happy with, my recommendation would be delete this option. That's of course if we're going with a 2-column split, and go into the duplicate option, because it's much quicker to update the content than it is to go through every single block and update the styles. Now we've got our 2 accordions in place. The one thing we can do is check this on mobile. I can make this one expanded and this one collapsed. But we see on mobile that it does segregate them into 2 different sections. There is no neat way to have it feel like one full list on mobile view, but it's a trade-off that I'm willing to take in this type of design. We could also put some custom code in place to make it feel like it's all in one section, but generally that works for what we need. And there we have it. 2 accordion blocks next to each other. If we wanted to increase to 3, we can as well. Watch out for those gold lines. That shows that the columns are the same width. Gone from 2 to 3 column accordions. You might be thinking that border is probably too heavy. I'm thinking the same. But as a demo, hopefully you found this helpful. If you want loads more tips, advice, and direct feedback from myself and my team at PixelHaze, then I strongly recommend checking out the link in the description to go to our free or paid communities on School. That's School with a K, one of the fastest growing education platforms in the world. And since I've joined it as a coach, I can see exactly why. Otherwise, I'm going to be throwing more tutorials like this in your direction over the coming days. So subscribe and come back for more. Cheers.